We are privileged to have Mr. Suyogya Man Tuladhar with us. It is very interesting. मेरो चाहिँ जिग्री दोस्त हो उहाँ हैन सो हामी and he is not here because he is my जिग्री दोस्त so हैन professionally पनि he deserves to be here हैन but our friendship goes back to our college days when we were in Delhi. We shared the same, we were the roommates, we were in the same university, not the same college but we were in the same university back in our BCom honors days हैन so we have a lot of things र हामी दुईजना चाहिँ एकअर्का जस्तै मेरो दोस्ती होला नि हैन एकअर्कासँग हामीलाई चाहिँ एकअर्का भएपछि खास धेरै कुराहरू चाहिँदैन so it's so don't take it in the other we have good friendships. अब सरको बारेमा चाहिँ के छ भन्दाखेरि he studied in Gothals, he studied in St. George's. Gothalsma चाहिँ I think you were till class 10, right? Preschool ma before 1 you were in Gothals, okay? I think 1 to 10 you were in Gothals.
No, for 1 year I studied here, Himalaya Vidya Mandir.
Hey, okay.
So my mom never studied, okay? So she wanted me to go to the best school. So that was in early 80s, ma. And while she went around asking Titi Bella, the only thing you had was the telephone, and you had to walk to whoever you had to meet up with. So wako sathi lai chahi gaera she asked like kahan rakhne mane because her friend son was studying in Gothals, so that's how I got into Gothals. Is a school where I spent like almost 9 years of my academics, class 2 dekhi 10 summer. So how many of you know Kurseong town? Kasale tha cha? Yeah, okay. It's in between when you from Siliguri dekhi when you travel to Darjeeling. It falls in on the way, and my school happens to be nestled in the amidst the forest. It's quite a distance from the town itself. So, anyways,
yeah. So what I was mentioning was Godalsma. You were still class 10. Then you went to Mussoorie, studied in St. George's, and then he came to Delhi where we met. And then we have stories. After that, you did other than BCom honors, you also did some fashion designing course in Delhi itself.
Yeah. And
then you went to Australia. You studied in MIT.
No, my academic journey was, that's where I met Resta. While pursuing bachelor's, I managed to get into one of the best business school, Sri Ram College of Commerce, which is in north of Delhi. SRCC, in short. But I wasn't meant to be there. Sports quota bada. My academics was too low for me to even stand in line to even fill up the form. Okay, so Tiango cutoff percent 97% but mine was like somewhere in 70s. So I was literally thrown out of the line. But then I got into the college from sports quota, football. So that's how I landed there. But I lasted there for like a year. I didn't do too well in the first year. And also I found that the curriculum was intense theory, and there were so many other interests that I had. For me, going to college was not just studies. So besides playing football, I had to even explore the artistic side that I always carried with me. And Tidibela, it wasn't like the days today. There wasn't any mobile theater. Internet hadn't arrived yet. And all we did was go to the library, go every possible corners to get your information, seek your be educated, Vanona. And this was I got a scholarship to RMIT University, where I went and did textile designing. I majored in textile designing, and
that was in Melbourne.
That was in Melbourne. I graduated, and then
so Mero analyst, because I know him pretty well, सो भर्सटाइल भन्ने एउटा वर्ड छ नि, थाहा छ भर्सटाइल भनेको? सो त्यो वर्डको ठाउँमा सुयोग्य भनेर राखिदिएको हुन्छ. सो हि इज भेरी भर्सटाइल, हाइली भर्सटाइल, क्रिएटिभ, डिजाइन, creative. When I saw him play football, he was not. He was less than 50% of what he was originally. So he played with some professional clubs even in Kathmandu. अनि सेन्ट जर्जेसमा हामी मसुरी जाँदाखेरि त अब एभ्रीबडी लाइक उसको जुनियर्सहरूले पनि सबले उसलाई फुटबलर भनेर चिन्थ्यो. खरसाङमा त्यस्तै स्टोरिजहरू थियो होला. सो हि वाज भेरी गुड इन फुटबल. सो फुटबलमा पनि मेबी यो अब आई डिन्ट सी हिम प्ले, तर श्रीराम कलेजमा म्याच हुँदाखेरि आई वाज पार्ट अफ द्याट टिम हो. त्यसको आफ्नै स्टोरी छ फेरि होइन. यहाँ खेलिरहेको मान्छे त्यहाँ गएर त मलाई त हि वाज आवर कोच होइन. आई स यु प्ले इन सम अफ द गेम कि. So he was a coach, so he sent me for like 5 minutes. I came back to him and said that get me out. This is not me. अब त्यहाँ त्यो भाइचुङ भुटियाहरूसँग खेल्ने प्लेयरहरूसँग कहाँ खेल्न सक्दैन. So but he was at that level. र त्यसमा पनि I'm sure you were quite artistic in your football game मा पनि. He is a painter. He does artwork होइन. उसको आफ्नै आर्ट स्टुडियो छ घरमा. And you know what happened? लेडी श्रीराम कलेज भन्ने एउटा चाहिँ दिल्लीमा एउटा गर्ल्स कलेज छ होइन. सो त्यो कलेजमा चाहिँ उसको आफ्नै आर्ट एक्जिबिसन चलिरहेको थियो भित्र होइन. अनि हि डिडन्ट लुक लाइक दिस. उसको पुरानो फोटोजहरू कुनै बेलामा हेर्दा हुन्छ होइन. अनि त सेक्युरिटी गार्डले उसलाई छिर्नै दिएन कि. अनि इट्स नट तिम्रो आर्ट एक्जिबिसन यो भित्र हुनै सक्दैन भनेर. किनभने दे थट द्याट आर्टिस्ट भनेको त्यस्तै हुनुपर्छ भन्ने सोचेको होइन. तर एकदम भर्सटाइल क्यारेक्टर. बिकज अघि सोफियाले जति पनि उसको करियरको म्यापिङहरू गर्नुभयो त्यसमा अहिले हामी कोर कुरामा अलिक छिरौँला. तर what I'm trying to say is गोथल, सेन्ट जर्जेस, दिल्लीको डेज, मेलबर्नमा उसले पढेको, अस्ट्रेलियामा पढेको, अस्ट्रेलियामा काम गरेको होइन. हि ट्राभल्स एक्सटेन्सिभली होइन. अनि ट्राभल भनेको गएर त्यतिकै टाइम वेस्ट गर्ने ट्राभल होइन कि. He goes for professional meetings, meets all the entrepreneurs, all investors, उसको clients लाई भेटिरहेको हुन्छ. त्यसमा कति लर्निङ्सहरू हुन्छ होला होइन. You've seen his communication skills होइन. र अर्को मलाई इन्ट्रेस्टिङ लागेको भनेको चाहिँ he is absolutely rooted to the ground कि. ऊ चाहिँ उसको पुरानो घर असनमा होइन, अहिले टेकुमा छ उहाँको घर चाहिँ होइन. अनि त्यसपछि गुठीहरूमा सबैमा पार्टिसिपेट गर्ने, सबै ठाउँमा मर्दा पर्दा जाने होइन, समाजलाई बुझ्ने, ग्राउन्ड लेभलमा गएर काम गर्ने. सो नट ओन्ली लाइक द्याट ब्रिटिस स्कुल गथल सेन्ट जर्जेस मात्र होइन कि. आई थिङ्क सेन्ट जर्जेस वाज अ आइरिस स्कुल होइन. सो त्यो मात्र होइन कि, त्यो ग्राउन्ड लेभलमा पनि उसको एकदमै राम्रो कनेक्सन छ होइन. र दिल्लीले पनि हामीलाई आई थिङ्क दुईजनालाई नै लाइफ सिकाएको छ हामीलाई. किनभने हाम्रो कलेजमा भन्दा हामीले बढी चाहिँ त्यो दिल्लीबाट सिकेको छ कि. त्यहाँको लाइफले हामीलाई जिन्दगी सिकायो भनौँ न. त्यहाँको जुन त्यो टफनेस, त्यहाँलाई सर्भाइभ गर्नै गाह्रो हुन्थ्यो होइन.
दिल्ली वाज अ रियल वर्ल्ड. मैले
के भन्नु खोजेँ भने सुयोग्य सरको चाहिँ त्यो भर्सट्यालिटीबाट चाहिँ हामीले सिक्ने कुरा के छ भन्दाखेरि, नो म्याटर यु गो टु द बेस्ट स्कुल्स इन द वर्ल्ड, हामी ग्राउन्डसँग जहिले पनि अट्याच भएर बस्नुपर्छ होइन. र त्यो चिजमा चाहिँ त्यो छ. र अर्को उसको क्यारेक्टर भनेको चाहिँ हि इज भेरी रेस्टलेस. क्रिएटिभ भयो, डिजाइन, क्रिएटिभनेस, वाट नेक्स्ट इज अलवेज इन हिज एजेन्डा. भर्सटालिटी मैले भनिहालेँ. एन्ड इज भेरी रेस्टलेस. अब के गर्ने होइन. युल सी हिम वकिङ अराउन्ड काठमाडौँ स्ट्रिट्स, युल सी हिम कफी सप्स, you'll be talking to somebody, you'll be chatting with somebody होइन. स्पोर्ट्सको ग्रेट फ्यान, मेसीको लाइक अर्जेन्टिनाले जित्दाखेरि त्यो कुन चाहिँ घरमा सगुन दिन्छ यार, उसको घरमा सगुनहरू दिएर होइन, त्यो खालको थियो. हल्यान्डले हार्यो, त्यसमा मेरो आफ्नै कहानी छ फेरि. तर वी ट्राभल फर वर्ल्ड कप हामी कि लास्ट वर्ल्ड कपमा पनि हामीसँगै ट्राभल गरेका छौँ. होपफुली सबै मिल्यो भने यसपालि पनि हामी जान्छौँ होला. एन्ड वी लर्न ड्युरिङ द्याट पिरियड. र यो चिजको चाहिँ उहाँको एउटा क्यारेक्टरिस्टिक चाहिँ मैले सुयोग्य सरको एउटा पर्सनालिटी भनौँ न, पर्सनालिटी. र अब मैले छुट्टाएको कुरा उहाँले फेरि पनि भन्नुहुन्छ, उहाँको फ्यामिली अथवा उहाँको केही कुराहरूमा चाहिँ अझै एउटा पर्सनालिटीसँग रिलेटेड मैले थाहा पाएको कुरा मैले भनेँ होइन. अरू बिफोर वी गो टु द मेन टपिक, So what do you want to talk about yourself?
But we'll get into the main agenda, I think.
So, like, have you worked for somebody? Did you work as an employee to some organization?
So, after I graduated, Melbourne, that was one of the one and only job that I had, from late 98 to about 2000 early January summer.
A couple of years.
I worked for a textile company that was based in Mumbai, and so my work was basically being a textile designer. They were heavily into home furnishings. Home furnishings are like things like curtains and your bedroom sets and lounge and bathroom, kitchen, you name it, and big houses like IKEA, Asda, and the Target groups, and even the Woolworth, they used to come and source in Mumbai. Amro company ma pani authyo, and they probably went around a lot of the companies to source their goods. And India being a very competitive destination, the quality ma pani in terms of pricing, I joined in and worked there for a year and a half. My boss was Gujarati, so he's the one and only boss that I've had for a significant period of time. While I say Malay, he felt that this guy can do something. Very excited to go, and Frankfurt. I was positioned in Frankfurt. My work was to interpret the design language from the clients to my studio. Because at the studio you design and make the products, and then they ship garera Frankfurt ma pathaunthyo. So I had to make presentation to the client and get orders. So testo huन्थ्यो. So
out of your total professional career, कति वर्षको भयो? You started working both your entrepreneurship work wise.
Let's say late 98, because as soon as I graduated, I moved to Mumbai.
Yeah. So 27 years ma he's worked for the other company that he mentioned for 2 years. So 25 years you are an entrepreneur.
Yes.
So for last 25 years he's an entrepreneur. अघि सोफियाले भनिहाल्यो उसको चाहिँ विभिन्न कम्पनीजहरुको बारेमा कुरा गर्नु.
But I'd like to take you back a little bit into my childhood.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we were based in Assam, and my father was the first person to establish a stationery shop in Assam. Yeah. So
wonderful.
And obviously he had an attachment to it, and this was that went on, and even till I was in school days. We still had that shop, if you remember, in Tripureshwar, right? And but first it was located in Assam, because that was the hub, that was the town, that was the area where everybody came to buy their goods and all the stuffs. So my stint with entrepreneurship might be at that point of time also. We had a manufacturing unit where we manufactured all the stationery items. Yeah. Mm. So, and because being just one of the very few providers of these goods and services, we had all the clients to ourselves. Unlike today, Azkal, anybody migrates to the city, their first and easiest entrepreneurship is establishing a stationery shop. So Tedibala saying Garathu, because everything was, you had to write, even to get orders from Mumbai. To import garदाखेरि पनि I used to see dad writing letters.
So uncle sanga, मेरो dad sanga, they themselves are, so उहाँहरु आफैमा encyclopedia हो. There's so much to learn from our dads, हैन? त्यसको फेरि छुट्टै नै त्यो हुन्छ, यति धेरै कुराहरु छ उहाँहरुको.
Absolutely.
So दुईटा क्वेशन मैले सुयोगीलाई सोध्न खोजेको चाहिँ, why entrepreneur, why your own work? Like हामी काम गर्दा गर्दै चाहिँ आफ्नो काम गर्ने डिसिजन किन गरे, नम्बर 1. नम्बर 2, why based in Nepal? अनि सो त्यतिखेर नै अस्ट्रेलियामा गएर पढेको, फ्र्याङ्कफर्टमा गएर अस्ट्रेलियामा काम गरेको, पढेको, दिल्लीमा पढेको.
What was the first part of the question?
So why entrepreneurship rather than working for somebody else? Why did you decide to work for yourself? Number 1. Number 2, why in Nepal? So your base could have been anywhere in the world. लाइक मैले भने ऊ एक्सटेन्सिभली ट्राभल गर्छ तर पनि बेस नेपालमा गर्नुको कारण र अन्टरप्रेन्योरसिपको कारण चाहिँ के थियो त?
Well, I came back to Nepal for personal reason because I left my PR application on the table. I didn't even open the envelope.
That was Australia?
Australia, and then I came back. But that was very personal reason too. I came back, so it's one of the things. And also, personal in the sense eglo choro, the society, and mom and dad alone. So I felt like I need to go back home and take care of them. Tyo chahi one of the strong reason थियो why I came back. I think those days it was pretty. Life was pretty simple, yeah. 25. We're talking about 25, 26 years ago.
त्यो personal reason नभएको भए, do you call that personal reason destiny? यदि त्यो personal reason नभएको भए
Destiny.
त्यो PR को envelope खुल्थ्यो त?
Destiny. Everything was starting to work towards whatever I intended. मैले पछि गएर जे गरेँ नि, त्यो बेला नै the whole universe was conspiring to make things happen. भनौँ न. And
so sometimes के हुँदो रहेछ भने लाइफमा you want to do certain things तर तिमीले त्यो गर्न सकिरा हुँदैन. अनि इन्भाइरोमेन्टल चिज यस्तो भइदिन्छ कि जसले गर्दाखेरि त्यो चाहिँ त्यो हुन आउँछ कि. So the personal reason भएको भएर he is contributing in Nepal as an entrepreneur, doing international business. So sometimes the whole world is conspiring.
Yeah.
So why did you decide not to work for somebody else and do your own business, own entrepreneurial venture?
Good question.
Yeah.
So being in Mumbai, you're pretty close to Bollywood, and also being a designer, you're very close to people that actually do the craftsmanship. Those who are working in the computer, set design. So I had a chance to meet a couple of these people who were working in their respective areas in cinema. And what I saw, what really got me to kind of leave my job and come to Kathmandu was, I seen, this guy, he was, I think the Windows, same Parkar, it was arriving. So, and the people who were working in computers, they were still with the DOS format. They were familiar. It was hard for them to move to Windows. And this guy, he had all his, fingers wrapped with tapes, okay, because he was already bleeding doing the shortcuts for DOS, and he was creating a toothpaste tube in a 3D software, and it was beautiful. It was actually one of those early advertisements for Colgate toothpaste. So only banai raha थियो. So I said, like, this is it. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to take back to Nepal. Within like a week or so, I gave it a thought, and then I decided, and then I informed my boss, who was obviously disappointed because he had invested a lot in me. I stuck to my intention and then resigned, came back to Nepal.
Yes. So in the meantime, so we had our professional association, 2001 Tirola. So where he was a program coordinator of an academy program in White House College. So obviously, which was not his cup of tea, number one. And do you know that he is the founder CEO of KFA? He was the first CEO of KFA.
Thanks to Mr. Resta Jha.
So 25 years, and the vision beyond the box was in logo. He's the one who designed it. So he carried the exact same logo. Pen logo. So he has designed it, and we've carried it along. Tara, not your academics program coordinator une wahako cup of tea थियो. Not KFA को CEO une wahako cup of tea थियो. Because wahako man अर्कोतिर रहेछ के. So हाम्रो स्कलर्सले के बुझ्नु पर्यो भने तिमीहरुको भित्रबाट के आइरहेको छ के. So हिजो हाम्रो एमडीबी सेसनमा कुरा गरेको थियो नि. Fast thinking, slow thinking हो के. So when you're driving car through a traffic, चाहिँ एकदम fast thinking गर्नुपर्छ. तर करियरको कुराहरु फास्ट थिंकिङ नहोला के. इन्टरनलाइज गर, आफ्नो सोच, तिमीलाई के कुन एरियामा जाँदा ठीक छ, कुनमा जाँदा तिमीलाई कम्फर्टेबल लागिरहेछ, तिमीले त्यो इमेजिन गर कि तिमीहरु त्यो काम गरिरहेको इमेजिन गर, तिम्रो लाइफ इमेजिन गर. जब तिमीलाई भित्रबाट सुकुन आयो भने जस्तै उसलाई दिस इज द थिङ द्याट आई वान्ट टु डु भनेर भने नि उसले त्यो चिज आयो भने मेबी द्याट इज वेयर यु विल इन्जोय यर लाइफ रादर देन अरू कसैले गरे यो गर त्यो गर भन्नुभन्दा सो मेरो लागि चाहिँ त्यो एउटा लेसन सुयोग्य सरबाट जहिले पनि मैले सिकेको भनेको चाहिँ त्यो एउटा हो होइन सो उहाँको त्यो छ र यहाँ आइसकेपछि पनि अब त्यो बिट्स एन्ड पिसेसमा चाहिँ गर्दाखेरि एन्ड देन अर्को एउटा कहानी छ फेरि सुट लगाएर उसलाई म ब्याङ्क अफ काठमाडौँमा काम गर्थेँ त्यो बेलामा होइन सो हि वाज अल्सो देयर सो आई वान्टेड हिम टु बिकम अ ब्याङ्कर अनि मेरो यस्तो नराम्रो बानी छ कि अब छैन अहिले अलिकति त्यो अब चाहिँ आई लेट पिपल टु whatever they want. सो मलाई जे लाग्यो मैले चाहिँ त्यो कुरा ठिक छ जस्तो लाग्छ कि बिकमिङ अ ब्याङ्कर लाइक हि सच अ ग्रेट गाई सो एउटा ब्याङ्क म त ब्याङ्कमा थिएँ सो मगा आयो भने मेरो आफ्नो सेल्फिसनेस पनि छ होला सो ऊ पनि एउटा आरएम हुन्छ होला केही हुन्छ होला ब्याङ्किङमा राम्रो गर्छ भनेर बिचरा सुट लगाएर आएको पनि थियो बट यु नो त्यो त्यहाँ आउन साथ उसले हि गेट द्याट स्माइल द्याट इज गिभिङ राइट नाउ होइन त्यो बेला म स्माइल अझ अलिक यङमा अझ मोर क्युट थियो होला सो तर यु नो द्याट वाज नट अ कप अफ टी सो ब्याङ्किङ वाउ हो नि त you ask to any conventional parents, Bank of job, Bank of Kathmandu, किन नगर्ने तर त्यो भित्रबाट जुन फिलिङ उहाँको आयो इट वाज नट हिम त्यो जे चिज आफूलाई आफ्नो चाहिँ एउटा प्यासन जेमा छ जेमा इन्ट्रेस्ट छ त्यसलाई पर्सु गर्नुपर्छ भन्ने चाहिँ एउटा लेसन्सहरू मैले सिकिरहेको छु
करेक्ट
तर यहाँ आएर कुनै एउटा ठुलो आइटी कम्पनीको लागि काम नगरिकन why did you establish the first company that you established was
the company my entrepreneurship journey officially it started off with buying a very Indian franchisee company called Pentasoft. I'm a totally non-IT person, by the way. I have no, even today I have no idea about certain things about computers. I do know
MBA को scholarship सुन्नु पर्ने चाहिँ यो कुरा हो है
So I got into this. We purchased this company. Kati त्यति बेला 2001 को end two मा थियो. We purchased this. त्यति बेला कति 26 lakh मा we purchased the company and that's when my business career actually took off. It was in a massive loss and all the problems that you had was in that company. And within like a span of 8 to 10 months, we were on the streets, broke. Just covering the liabilities, etc. So, त्यति बेला मैले के गरिरहेको थिएँ भने मेरो पार्टनर मेरो long time partner, we're no longer with each other. We've moved our own ways, right? But we've done some amazing businesses between us. त्यो बेला two of us got together to buy that. And he, like in 8 months' time, he came to my cabin and he said, like, take my key, do whatever you want with this company. I'm getting out of this place. And he was the IT guy, and I'm the non-IT guy sitting here, all lost, So trouble, Mati trouble, eh? So Titibela, what I had done at that time was, see, you already knew in the first month that you were in trouble. So I started scouting for opportunities. Internet had arrived, it was already there, but it was not at every doorstep, every hand mobile. Smartphones weren't there. You were with the handset. I managed to get my first handset, Nokia. I still have that, And what I had done.
You had an office here.
Yeah,
Banishar Mathini.
Kamala.
Pentasoft, ne? Pochi Kamala.
Well, that is the one I purchased. Okay?
Right.
They were all franchises scattered over. So त्यति बेला नेपाल मा एउटा IT को wave चले थियो. I think there was शेरबहादुर देउबा त्यति बेला पनि प्रधानमन्त्री थियो है. So and he kind of floated this idea about promoting Nepal as an IT destination. Surendra Chaudhary was the IT minister, and one of Surendra Chaudhary ko colleague, who's a very renowned IT person himself. He is one of the most valuable person of Microsoft, but he is very low profile. While it's saying he started this medical transcription training with the intention of employing 10,000 people two time. Very ambitious
What's the
project,
name of this company?
unlimited.
Unlimited.
So that project didn't work, and eventually that collapsed, and it left त्यति बेला करिब 10-20 हजार जना लाई ट्रेनिङ दिएको थियो. It was a partnership between, that was a very good model हो खास actually अहिले पनि हुनुपर्ने public private partnership को एउटा example थियो. And what happened was, as we've had like 17 prime ministers in 25 years. That year happened to be a year when government collapsed and the whole project was in doldrums. So, मैले चाहिँ those young boys and girls who were trained, मैले त्यो त्यसबाट 8-10 जना pick up गरे. Then I went around looking for clients, and one of my friend he referred a client to me, and मैले medical transcription business, right? So that was in 2002. I hired 8 people, got a client, started the work. So the client,
so you had one client, you had 8 people in your team, and
one client as in one doctor. Medical transcription means के हुन्थ्यो भने basically American hospitals हरूलाई चाहिँ उता record राख्नु भन्दा यता everybody is looking to save money, right? The cost of operation. So they hired, they said, okay, internet is there, you guys are staying inside one room, यसरी secure सब मेरो data server मा save छ भने we'll send you the work. So I started the work, and for a month, for a couple of months, we had I was already broke. So in between that, a lot of things happened, like, the landlady came and threw all my stuff out, and I had to go down really on my knees to beg her to let me in. And the next 3 months after that was very critical. So that client had operations in India. They had a large setup. BPU, IT was booming. In late 90s, early 2000, it was the golden era of Indian IT industry. And that client asked the person who was going around inspecting in Indian operations, like, go fly over to Kathmandu and see how these guys are doing. So the guy gave us a surprise visit, and fortunately, everything was working fine that day. And he put some really good words. And from a 8-man company to within a span of 12 to 16 months, we grew to like 80-man company, 80-seater.
80 ki 18?
80.
Wow.
So, and we were not ready to handle that kind of people. There were challenges. So how do you go about so many issues? Like every day was a new day. You fought little battles to overcome those challenges. Management, financial, So because we grew so quickly that it was hard to catch up with everything. So and then our business bhayo, and then mero bhitar the whole thing was centered around animation. Animation, let's say, so we started making money. We started making a lot of money. So I was that particular company was the largest IT company. We grew to 250-seater in span of 2 to 3 years, man.
So that's incessant rain.
No. Transcube International. Oh. That is my parent founding company, which actually laid a foundation to a lot more things that I was to do later on.
Right.
And it also laid the foundation to the Incessant Rain Studios.
Yeah.
Because from the profits that we made, and of course there are little battles I had to fight internally. So my partner had already left, I told you that. And one of the strategic thing that I did was, that made my life really easy was, I gave him a fantastic salary, an amazing room I built for him, and I gave him the position of chairman. And I brought him in. I had bought his loyalty. And after that, for 10 years, he never questioned me. So whatever my vision was, he was ready to, back it up, sign the checks, and it made my life very easy. So
yeah, so दुईटा लर्निङ्स एकदम की लर्निङ्स मलाई लागेको छ यु क्यान स्टार्ट स्मल ओके हामीले सुरु गर्दाखेरि हामीले सानै सुरु गर्न सकिन्छ तर स्केलेबल हुनु पर्यो नम्बर 1 नम्बर 2 जुन पछिको कुरा उसले भनेकोमा चाहिँ यु क्यान लेट अदर पिपल मुभ फरवर्ड कि सधैँ त्यो पोजिसनमा आफै बस्नुपर्छ भन्ने छैन हुन त मलाई सोच्दै म पनि यहाँको चेयरम्यान छु कहिले अब चेयरम्यान छोड्दिनु होला
I think your journey
एक्जिक्युटिभ पोजिसन चाहिँ म छोड्छु होला सो लेट द पिपल किनभने हाम्रो एग्रो भेन्चरमा पनि आई एक्चुअली इन्भाइटेड किशोर दाइ टु चेयर द बोर्ड कि सो त्यो पनि जुन उहाँले जुन रेस्पेक्ट दिनुभयो नि त्यो रेस्पेक्ट र उहाँको ह्युमिलिटीको पार्ट छ त्यो लास्टमा म भन्छु एउटा त्यसले मेरो लाइफ चेन्ज गरेको छ
I think your the way I little bit about himself Resta sir like transitioning from what the way I look at his career path is to transition from a very comfortable job, a very significantly high position corporate job, and then to move in as an entrepreneur. That's like hats off, because your DNA would have already changed when you've kind of worked in a high profile job for especially in sectors like banking and insurance and all that. So. And then to come here and then turn this whole organization around, I think that's he is very focused.
के भन्छ यस्तो लागि कुर्कुच्चा भन्छ नि यो
कुर्कुच्चा
भन्छ नि यो लास्टको यसलाई त्यो आफ्टर आई जोइन केएफए हाम्रो विराटनगरमा अपरेसन थियो स्कुल थियो एउटा टेकन ओभर त्यो कुर्कुच्चा पुरा यस्तो फुटाएको थियो कि मेरो 3टा 4वटा त्यो भएको थियो के रहेछ भने every 10 days I take a night bus. I go to त्यसपछि उड्दाखेरि ब्रह्मजीमा पुगेर आउँछ त्यहाँ चिया र पेडा पाउँथ्यो त्यो बेलामा आई वाज नट भेगन सो पेडा र चिया खान्थेँ त्यसपछि विराटनगर नेक्स्ट डे पुग्यो सो त्यहाँ गयो 2 दिन त्यहाँ बस्यो अनि फेरि नाइट बस लिएर फर्क्यो बिकज प्लेनमा जाने अब जस्तै उसको कुरा गरेँ नि रेन्टबाट चाहिँ ल्यान्ड लेडीलाई गएर ब्याक गर्नु पऱ्यो भनेर विश्वास ढकाल F1 सफ्ट ई सेवा द सक्सेस स्टोरी सेम कहानी हो है उसँग रेन्टको पैसा तिर्ने पैसा थिएन होइन सो इमेजिन सो फ्रम बिजनेस क्लास लाइक द हाई पोजिसन आई वाज द कन्ट्री रिप्रेजेन्टेटिभ फर स्ट्यान्डर्ड चार्टर्ड ब्याङ्क राइट मैले पनि गर्न छोडेको छु 20-30वटा देश त मेरो पनि भयो होला होइन सो फ्रम अल बिजनेस क्लास ट्राभल्स टु फर अल 5-star होटेल्स टु नाइट बस सो त्यो रियलाइनमेन्ट गर्न चाहिँ यु हेभ टु बी रेडी सो त्यो चिजमा चाहिँ तर डु यु हेभ रिग्रेट्स नट एट अल
Can I add a few words? Your transition was possible because I think I've seen him toil in Delhi University, the way he struggled. Your struggle story, that kind of already built that thing in you. Just to like say.
So Delhi was a lesson for us. So coming back to again Suyogya sarko core kaamharuma aba. So basically, so Transcube International le in-session range जन्मायो. In-session range आज पनि छाउनीको साइडतिर छ के अरे हैन I think they hire how many people अहिले
Oh, there are anything between 150 to 150. It depends on the volume of project.
So around 150 people.
I'm no longer there, but that's how they work.
So he was one of the 3 founders. Sanjeev Raj Bhandari. को नाम के थियो किरण जोशी एन्ड सूर्य मान तुलाधर 3 जनाले मिलेर इन्सेसन रेन गरेको र एक्चुअली एन्टायर नेपालको अपरेसन्सको चाहिँ रेस्पोन्सिबिलिटी सूर्य सरको थियो होइन सो इन्सेसन रेनले के गर्यो हाउ डिड द्याट कम्पनी फर्म वाट वाज द काइन्ड अफ कन्ट्रिब्युसन बिकज उसको त्यसको बेला अफिसमा म पुगेको छु कि सो इट फर अस फर अ त्यो नन एनिमेसन गाई इट वाज अल ग्रेट टु अस कि यो कसो भइरहेको थाहा छैन पनि ट्राई टु अन्डरस्ट्यान्ड खास के हो त्यो भनेको इन्सेसनले के गर्यो हाउ डिड द्याट ह्यापन
इन्सेसन रेन भन्दा 2-3 वर्ष अगाडि क्यान आई टेक यु देयर मैले ट्रान्सक्युब इन्टरनेसनल गर्दा पार्ट अफ द प्रफिट्स द्याट आई मेड वी प्लट ब्याक इन्टु क्रिएटिङ अ बुटिक एनिमेसन स्टुडियो अब त्यो स्टुडियोमा बेसिकली यु डोन्ट इन्सेसन रेन खोल्ने भन्ने बित्तिकै इट्स नट द्याट इजी यु डोन्ट ह्याभ वर्ल्ड क्लास आर्टिस्ट सो मैले के गरेको थिएँ त्यो द कम्पनी द्याट आई फाउन्डेड होइन द्याट स्टार्टेड मेकिङ अ लट अफ मनी तर त्यो त आफ्नो प्यासनमा त हाल्नु पर्यो सो what I did was I set up a boutique studio with 20 artists मैले ट्रेन गरेँ right and then those artists were trained from 2004 to 2008. त्यो बेला we trained artists. त्यति बेला के भएको थियो भने 1990 there was a lot of void in animation scene in Nepal. Nepal animation history goes back to 1980s when most of these animation initiatives or projects were endorsed or funded by INGOs like GTZ and all that. So there was nothing called like private initiative to really take up this, make it big, because public-private partnership obviously missing in Nepal. Government they don't even know about it, I think. So it was I took it on to me to kind of do this. So 2004 to 2007, Savama, I had this boutique studio where I got 20 artists ready. 20 artists. Today they have in their own respective area, they've become very big names. Some of them have the first online animation school from Nepal. Can you believe that? And my student, he has students from across the world, from Venezuela, USA, Canada. They actually enroll into an animation program that is, that originates in Nepal.
Wow.
It's amazing.
So I'm not a great fan of animation movies. So how many of you are a great fan of animation movies? Can you raise your hand?
I think everyone should be.
More the Lion King. I'm sure everybody watched Lion King.
That is epic. That's classic.
So what is the second best movie? Can somebody say? Bolo
to Pixar le gare थियो. It was Disney ko, and so it really brought about new benchmark in the level of animation, the quality of animation, that the world was actually pretty mesmerized.
I'm sure we grew up watching Tom and Jerry. Different animation though. So yeah, so that's my limited knowledge in animation. So त्यो animation को काम चाहिँ यहाँ कसरी यहाँ नेपालमा काम हुन्छ?
Okay. So while before Incessant, so a year or two before Incessant Rain, I traveled to US, to kind of look for joint venture or partnership with big studios. I made some very it looked very foolish. I made some cold calls and walked into Sony Pictures.
In Hollywood?
Columbia Pictures, yeah, in Hollywood. I walked into their office without appointment.
You did not have any appointments, by the way.
And then...
you were just walking along the Hollywood.
I think the Sony Pictures, Japan you had a Japanese thing. So I met a lot of these. I even went to meet Quentin Tarantino. But of course, wasn't successful. So, and till Doran Matsai, I got in touch with my colleague who eventually became my partner at Incessant Rain, my colleague from Disney. I was creating the skill set. The artists were ready, but the supply of work, that was what was very critical to kind of kickstart anything that...
Demand of work, no?
So, some of the...
Companies go set up, office go set up, सबैमा रेस्टलेसनेस देखिन्छ कि सो एउटा ठाउँमा भन्दा पनि इज moved around अब त्यो आफ्नो क्यापेसिटीलाई हेरेर पनि होला हैन
So yeah, I think what's important here is I think it's very important for me to share with you is 3 months into operation, we were just getting used to the really standard industry process, the pipeline, production pipeline. And within 3 months, we had Disney project. That was the first Nepal international project that really gave confidence to artists. Confidence as in after this project concluded successfully, the artists became confident and they felt that they could take on anything.
Movie like project bhan raha ho?
Project, yeah.
So what? Can you name few?
See, there were two. Within the studio, we had 2 areas of specialization. One was 3D animation, which was animation. Arko was visual effects. So in visual effects, we may have done about, by now they must have concluded about 400 to 500 movies.
Including,
you name it, is there, from Expendables to Karate Kid to Midnight Children, you name it, we've done it.
Wow.
But I'm no longer part of it. But
No,
I think they continue to do that.
Nepalma बस्नु, that's your legacy because you're one of the founders, होइन. अब त्यसमा अब you're not part of it, त्यसको आफ्नै कहानी होला. तर नेपालमा बसेर इन्टरनेसनली हलिउड मुभिजहरूको प्रोडक्सनमा डाइरेक्टली सबै त यहाँ हुँदैन, होइन. सो VFX र यतापट्टिको जुन एनिमेसनको पार्ट छ त्यसमा कन्ट्रिब्युसन गर्नु चाहिँ एउटा ठुलो रोल हो, होइन.
मलाई I don't consider that such big of a deal. अहिलेसम्म इन्सेसन रेन जस्तो चाहिँ दर्जनौं स्टुडियो हुनुपर्ने थियो, but that was we've again hit a snag, we've hit a roadblock, bottlenecks यति भयो. अब there hasn't been another incessant rain after this. So my next studio that I founded is probably going in that particular direction. FireStudios, yes. I mean, we worked on a couple of amazing web series like The Boys and Wednesday Costly The Addams Family. Yes.
Wow.
And then there are other great episodes that are on other OTT platforms. So there were other amazing series that we worked on. And I think one of the the feather in the cap was having the honor of representing Nepal and walking the red carpet at the Berlin Film Festival. We were nominated for the top five international best film. Shambhala, who's heard of Shambhala?
So he's the VFX producer.
So so my studio, we produced the VFX, basically did all the work.
Yeah, so let's give you a big round of applause. So you made the country proud.
This movie was directed by Min Bahadur Bam, and I had the chance to work because I knew the producer, Mr. Bibakar Shakya.
The same person you mentioned.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, so, but then somebody asked me, so what is the work that you've done in the movie? So what is the work you've done in the film? The fact that he asked me the question, he didn't know, okay? Means it was so seamless. The work that we did was like the world class nahi थियो. So that was
okay. So उसको अरू aspectsहरुमा सुयोगको फेरि जाउँला हैन. Few questions from you guys.
Please.
मको दिमागमा होला. Ask.
How was the process and how much obstacles के थियो? जस्तै टेक्सटाइलमा तपाईले डिजाइन गर्नु भने जस्तै 1998 मा त हल्ला
मैले चाहिँ I got your question. So animation को लगाव चाहिँ it goes back way before 90s मा 80s मा destiny भनेको यस्तो हो के. There were so many initiatives happening around in Kathmandu, सानोतिनो प्रोजेक्ट्सहरु भइरहेको थियो. Like for example नेपालको first animated film ऋषि दाइ र साथीहरु भन्ने, which was produced by Unique Animation Studio. So as a child I had a chance to see all that process. Okay? So those kind of those little incidents had a profound impact on my wanting to be an entrepreneur. हुन त आर्टिस्टै हुन चाहेको, but then I took it onto myself to create that ecosystem भनौं न. An effort to create ecosystem. अहिले पनि ecosystem त्यस्तो robust भइसकेको छैन हैन, because when you look at India, there's so much endorsement by the state government to the private initiatives that the scalability is huge. But our population is about 30 million, right? And we're like a youth-centric country. And things like animation, VFX, that's kind of a right kind of job for us. And if the government created like 10,000 jobs in, 10,000 VFX artists and animators. So these knowledge-based industries are very important. So so my inspiration along the way kind of helped me to think that question on why from textile to animation, particularly later part of the life would be textile. I was doing designing. Then RMIT because I was already doing the foundation program, I didn't want to jump into it. I said, okay, let's just take. I'm getting a full scholarship. I went on a full scholarship, so I didn't want to miss that. If I opted to do animation, so I would have to probably pay all the tuition fees and everything. So
So because you got the scholarship,
yeah, textile designing.
so given a choice, you would have gone to animation.
Definitely,
Very first choice. Thanks for your question.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else?
मैले चाहिँ इन्सिस्टेन्ट इन एकाडेमीबाट चाहिँ 3 मन्थको स्कलरसिपको भिडियो एडिटिङ क्लास गरेको थिएँ एन्ड सो थ्याङ्क यू सो मच फर द्याट अनि त्यसले चाहिँ मेरो फिल्म मेकिङमा चाहिँ इन्ट्रेस्ट छ है भनेर चाहिँ मलाई रियलाइज भएको थियो सो नेपालमा चाहिँ इन्डिपेन्डेन्ट फिल्म मेकरहरूको चाहिँ कस्तो सिचुएसन छ आफै गर्न सक्छ कि सक्दैन कि अनि नेपालमा चाहिँ लाइक एनिमेसन चाहिँ किन बनिसकेको छैन लाइक नट इन नेपाली ल्याङ्ग्वेज बट लाइक कल्चरलीलाई चाहिँ त्यसलाई ब्लेन्ड गरेर हामीले किन बनाउन सकिरहेको छैन के च्यालेन्जेसहरू छ आई वन्ट नो द्याट
What is view maker, by the way?
That's a very beautiful question. Independent filmmakers always struggle with the budget part of anything that you need to. Filmmaking is such a bizarre business. Yeah? You do need investments, right? Camera film. First thing that you need for filmmaking is camera. So, and every director says this, every producer says this. So, this could you need to rent out a good camera like a Sony FX, right? 6 CDs or in Naya. So, that is good for cinema. But if you need to buy it, with the lenses and all that, you would have to invest about good 8 to 10 lakhs with proper rigs and everything. So, think if you have to rent it, that will cost you 10,000 per day. I've seen one of the independent filmmakers whose film got nominated for Berlin Film Festival that was shot with a mobile camera. So nothing should stop you from making film. It's your passion. It's about storytelling. And you have Adobe Premiere. I think you use Premiere and Final Cut Pro and all these technologies are all readily available. Even the licensed ones are not very expensive. So you can literally make a film with using iPhone. I know. What was the second part of the cultural blend, right? So it again comes down to people rather invest in land and building rather than these innovative. So I think the initiation first has to be taken by the government. When the government, government the margdarshan garaउने हो नि जनतालाई हैन. So in the earlier days, I think in 1980s and 70s, the Chalchitra board, they invested a lot in producing meaningful films like Ama, Maiti Ghar. Those were epic classic films. Though the government, and what that triggered was it triggered the private producers and investors to come forward and invest in films, and then that saw the first. I think privately invested films like Sindur, Jeevan Rekha, and all that. And it's still relevant today. Because...
Those movies are wonderful.
And the genre of films that we see are a particular pattern ko film or do you realize that? When you go and see, it's mostly... rural to urban area ko nostalgia driven stories are also. And a lot of people are crying and all that. See, the fact is, of late, there's been a lot of migration in Kathmandu of the last decade and a half, right? And people, no matter Netflix ma unarle horror hecha, thriller hecha, hijack film sab hecha, all ma gaeपछि they want to see that nostalgia driven story. So we need to deviate from that. And the audience must want to see those kind of locally produced films, different genres of films, like thrillers, like adventures. Even Asti Magathi, there was a European Film Festival at Chaya Center. A lot of the filmmakers, Nepalco filmmakers, they had produced these short films and ticket na paera ma farke. So you see a lot of so audiences. Festivals are very important to educate the audience as well. So you don't just go and see, somebody in the city and the father in the village, and the story revolves around them. But but filmmaking, it's a bizarre business. Like Astiko, the Kibancha,
Paran.
Sarangi. What was the Sarangi film?
Yeah.
You know how much money it made? No, it's ek arab. Nepali film has the potential to make, and the only investment they made was about 1 crore investment. You know, we have to dare. You know, the private entrepreneurs are private entrepreneurs, producers are on who are willing to take the risk. Do we even divorce? But I'm willing to make a story on, you know, the Battle of Kirtipur, for example, right? Nobody even we don't know historical films they've never been attempted boldly. So you do need these entrepreneurs. The big houses can come forward and invest in these kind of initiatives to dare and venture into these genres.
Or a sporting movie, like a movie on Samba. Usko success story, like she's playing.
Angela's film was made and it did pretty well.
Oh.
And there was a lot of response, good response from the audience, which is, I think that was a daring film.
Yeah. And then हाम्रो cricket को पनि जुन अहिले देखिरहेछ नि, from like we're really progressing, so त्यसमा बन्न सक्ला. Who knows, like यो Gen Z को जुन
But if you were
revolution भयो त्यसमा एउटा story गजब हुन सक्छ.
You could,
it's about storytelling.
You could do a short documentary feature. त्यो पनि गर्न सकिन्छ, like, because you have the editing skills, right? You can, first step to being a director is being a good editor, right? By the way.
Yeah, so wonderful. So anybody else?
त्यो रेभेन्यू कमाउने नेक्स्ट बिग थिङ चाहिँ के हुन्छ, लाइक ओटिटी प्लेटफर्मबाटै कमाउँछ क्या? पहिला चाहिँ टिभी च्यानलहरू थियो, अहिले त
No, there's a different ways to monetize this, right? One is like pre-order aako. Suppose if you were commissioned to do a 12 episode animated series, that's already, you've already have a pre-sales paisa kya huncha. Your revenue is already booked. But then if you have to invest by yourself and monetize it, YouTube is one of the areas you can look at. And you can, if you have significantly good product, you can approach. There are different platforms like OTT platforms also.
Yeah, so if you don't have any questions at this point in time, एकछिन पछि फेरि हुन्छ होला. So तीनटा aspect मा हामी कुरा गरिरहेका थियौँ. So animation, filmmaking and IT professionals resourcing मा हैन. So animation र filmmaking मा अलिअलि कुरा भयो हाम्रो. यो IT professional resourcing जुन हामी अहिले गरिरहेका छौँ, हाम्रो जस्तो यहाँको expertsहरूलाई हामी hire गरिरहेका छौँ, not only for the jobs which are there in Nepal but for global clientsहरूलाई हामी गरिरहेका छौँ. Can you mention something about that?
So back in 2004, when we had about 250 seater BPO, business process outsourcing, IT enabled service, providing healthcare service to hospitals and doctors in the US, Teti Bela, I was literally featured on every television because they thought, this is huge. Well, it was big at that point of time. But today, actual revolution in terms of IT outsourcing has arrived in Nepal. And it is time for the government to incentivize, reorganize, and even scale it up. I believe today there are about 700 to 800,000 young boys and girls that go to work in an IT company at this point of time. So that's a significant jump on Summa. There's equal number of people who moved out of Nepal, right, to seeking work, jobs. So can imagine, and a lot of, you have 202, as the company with a 200 to 250 people is become pretty normal. We've got thousands of 1,000 seater IT companies operating right from out of Kathmandu.
So 7 lakhs to 8 lakhs people living in Nepal, they are working in how many companies? Roundabout how many companies are there? Any like rough estimate?
I think thousands. And then not to mention the freelancers who work at home.
Yeah.
And also, earlier, even especially after COVID, the hybrid model has come into, it's pretty common these days. You know, partly you can work from home and
So
partly
around
in
1 million
office. So
people are working in the industry. You know? So last 2 years ko agadiko data le ke bhancha bhandakeri we exported, like we got the foreign exchange earnings of 67 billion rupees in 1 quarter. So 3 महिनामा हामीले चाहिँ export earnings को 67 billion.
that is officially documented. It would go about 100 billion rupees. So
हामी के छ भने narrative के छ नेपालमा केही छैन, नेपालमा खत्तम छ, अनि जहिले पनि त्यही चिज जुन चाहिँ छ नेगेटिभ मात्र अनलाइनमा पनि त्यही आउने.
folks, every possibility is in Nepal now. Okay. Only if we are to see a stability in terms of politically, you know, there's no stopping.
ल यो कुराले तिमीलाई अलिकति दियो होला नि त डोज, because that is what is directly related to you, right? कतिजना तिमीहरू काम गरिरहेको छैन हात उठाउनु. आइटीमा अहिले काम नगरिरहेको को कतिजना छ होइन. सो धेरै हात उठेन भने मतलब यो अलरेडी वर्किङ होइन. सो नगरेकोले पनि उसले पनि कुनै कुनै एक्सपोजर पाइसकेको छ, अलरेडी गरिसक्यो होला. सो यु वुड लाइक टु नो what is my next move? Like, even if you're working somewhere, you maybe want to look for better opportunities, right? So, पहिला industry बुझ्नु पर्यो के भइरहेछ.
हाम्रो bottlenecks चाहिँ दुईटा हुन्छ है. Access to market is सबैभन्दा ठुलो bottleneck हो. अब काम त गर्ने तर काम चाहियो नि. You need to go to the door.
Exactly.
You know, first you need to go to the river to drink the water. And later, the pipe banara घरमा ल्याउने is the next step. That will happen at the second stage, man. And I've had the opportunity to work with Israel-based IT companies since 2007, and as a company काम गर्दैछु. And the trust that we built, because we were the early birds, banona. And it had its own ups and downs also. And so, in a nutshell, early the Israel market has a tremendous amount of trust for Nepali developers. A lot of you could be owning an IT company without actually having an IT background. Me being a painter, you know, an artist by heart, doing n number of things, but focused on, you know, IT-enabled services. So the possibilities is endless. But folks, you need to focus.
Exactly. Yeah. So हिजो हामीले entrepreneurship को session मा MVP कुरा गरिरहेको थियौँ. Sophia, you were there in the class. अरू को थियो? हामी कोही सोनिया थियो, अभिषेक थियो. So focus. Focus ले के भन्छ भन्दाखेरि, if you're focusing on a bird while taking a photograph, you're probably ignoring the trees. Right? So while he was focusing on animation, he somehow ignored fashion design, textiles. So केही कुरालाई मा फोकस गर्दाखेरि केही कुरालाई हामीले अलिकति छोड्नु पनि पर्ने हुन्छ. हाम्रो यङ जेनेरेसनको मलाई यहाँ भन्न के मन लाग्यो भने नि, लाइक कोही त साइन गर्नेहरू पनि छ. जेनरली हामी अलिक मिडियोकर टाइपको मान्छेहरू हुन्छ कि, इन्क्लुडिङ माइसेल्फ. म अब सुयोगी सरहरूको चाहिँ सङ्गतमा पर अलिकति बढी त्यो मेहनत गर्ने भएको छु. There are few of our people who are very religiously काम गर्नेहरू पनि छ होइन. तर जेनरली भन्दाखेरि नेपालीहरूमा कस्तो हुन्छ भने चलिहाल्छ नि, गरिहालौँ न, यो भइहाल्छ, यो गरिरहेको छु, मैले यो पुस गरिरहेको छु, मैले गर्न सक्ने यति नै हो भन्ने छ. जुन इन्टेन्सिटी, जुन हामीले जुन फोकस र इन्टेन्सिटी जुन दिनुपर्ने हो, त्यसमा चाहिँ वी निड टु, आई थिङ्क मोस्ट अफ अस निड टु वर्क अन इट होइन. सो त्यो चिज चाहिँ आई थिङ्क वी हेभ टु लर्न फ्रम हिम.
And also the difference, you know, with all due respect to the youths of Nepal, in generally over the last 2 decades or 3 decades, when I look at the youths of Nepal and even the youths of India, you know, Indian youths may not be very trendy. They may not have the best of goggles and the trendiest of jeans and sneakers and all that. I
mentioned that.
But Nepalese, on the other hand, are very trendy, fancy, fashionable, and all that. But Indian youths are so focused in their career,
quality
they will give anything to achieve that. Yeah? And that is why it's made certain leaps and bounds in terms of progress. Tara, that mindset has arrived in Nepal as well. There are serious youths who've kind of transformed Nepalco landscape, be it in terms of technology or technology-based agro industry, or there's a lot of areas that youths have trying to do. But majorly tech, we're there now. There now. अब यसपछिको scalability is, I think it's going to यो एउटा autopilotमा गइसकेको छ, and it's about the new generation coming on board and exploring new avenues.
Yeah, that is where I was getting there. So people will not judge somebody by its cover, the book by its cover, right? Sanse quality भित्र हुनु पर्यो. So quality को लागि चाहियो. अब हाम्रो जुन MBA scholars, graduates भनौँ अथवा चाहिँ BCSIT मा चाहिँ we basically specialize in cyber security or network technology मा गर्छौं उनीहरुले. So having said that, अब त्यतिमा मात्र लिमिट त नहोला. So how can in the verticals that you are working, or slightly outside also, so what kind of career they can aspire? How should they prepare?
Well, cybersecurity is everything. Cybersecurity is everything.
Yeah.
Amazing need for every organization to be secure. Now everybody's latched on to a web portal. You're online, and you need to be secure online. If you have sun chandi gahna rakhnu bhako cha भने what would you do to secure? You will not leave your door open,
Exactly.
You will not leave your gates open. So you need to kind of, that's an analogy you need to use to kind of secure your portal, your online presence. Right? Even your Facebook can get hacked, right? Even your Instagram can get hacked, and so can your company's website. And information is everything. Cybersecurity is super in. It's just not in, it's super in. And I think KFA offers one of the best programs for cybersecurity.
So guys, you have questions, Esma? Like tomorrow, different semesters or so. See, industry is always ahead of academics, right? Industry is always ahead of academics. So you have to have industry knowledge. Industry knowledge तिमीहरुलाई भयो भने अनि बल्ल तिमीहरुले चाहिँ त्यो गर्न सक्छौ हैन.
एउटा कुरा चाहिँ what I've noticed at KFA is there's a serious effort here to kind of bridge, to narrow the gap between industry and academics. Yeah? And that's
the whole
I
idea.
think that's, you said you're going to retire, right? In a couple of years. I think KFA will still need your guidance, because that really comes from him to bridge the gap between the two sectors.
So the experts that you're hiring for local and global companies, what are the qualities that you look for?
Well, I think mostly...
Who can apply? Why do you hire them?
Well, there are two kinds of work that we do in our IT companies. Once the client would ask us to build a product, and that's at that point of time, depending on the kind of product that the client wants, we start by hiring the tech lead.
Can you give examples? What product and what skills?
I'm not a very techie kind of person, but we've built a couple of applications. For example, there is a company called The Last Food Fight. Last Food Fight is a company that helps to, America and the UK has like 60% of people who are obese. So that program actually is a kind of coaching program that helps those people to scale down their weight and, on the road to recovery, gaining fitness. So like you saying, we built an app.
Hey.
So, that app, basically you kind of log into the app and ask different questions, etc. And you enter your statistics, and then you kind of there's a automated answers or only. When they started to build the app, we saw the requirement or and then the particular test they asked us to build the architecture. The architecture pani हामीले build गर्यौं, and
using what programming?
I don't know.
Python?
No.
React. You go through the CVs, so you look for certain.
Yeah, so there are different kinds of, like for React, Node.js huncha, Python huncha, then you got .NET platforms where you just slightly old technology, but then old technology is also pretty relevant because a lot of the companies kind of when they move from one technology to another, there's a significant amount of investments huncha.
Yeah.
So to save costs, they latch onto the old technology. So old programming language pani.
So सरले के भन्नु Python भन्नुभयो अरु के भन्नुभयो
React Native, Node.js. Oh, those are so a lot of them would be.
हाम्रो कलेजमा के प्रोग्रामिङहरु सिकिरहेको छौ भन त Python सिकिरहेको छौ
I think C Sharp, C++. Please master those because they are also relevant for gaming. Game engine or design garnalai, game engine or moderate garnalai useful huncha. For Unity uses C++, C Sharp, and Unreal Game Engine uses C Sharp. Correct me if I'm kind of.
सन्जु सरले लिनुहुन्छ हो यो सेसन के उहाँले के सिकाउनुहुन्छ अफिसरको नाम के हो ल सो सी प्रोग्रामिङ विराज सरले गर्नुहुन्छ हैन पाइथन चाहिँ सन्जु सरले गर्नुहुन्छ ओके अरु वेब डिजाइनिङ पनि गरिरहेछ तिमीहरुले ओके
Web designing के WordPress में
So actually सुन है what's your name उर्मिलालाई तिमीलाई के एउटा एक्जाम्पल भन्नु न तिमीले के कुरा सिकिरहेछौ इन्डस्ट्रीलाई के कुरा चाहिरहेछ हैन त इन्डस्ट्रीलाई के कुरा चाहिरहेछ तिमीले के कुरा सिकिरहेछौ तिमीले सिकेको कुराले मात्र उहाँको लाइक केपेबिलिटी तिमी आज छैनौ त त्यो ग्याप जहाँ छ त्यो त मिट गर्नु पर्यो नि त
And every program language is valid. People are building n number of products, especially because I'm very closely working with startups, and startups very nice to work with startups because they come up with new innovative ideas. So it doesn't matter what language you learning. C, C++, React Native, Node.js, Java pani siknu. Some companies may look for developers with those skills, but a lot of them would be because Python is also a programming language for AI. So because AI is so much it's a lot of demand for that. But I guess you just have to be above cost of the technology. The technology requirement is evolving like every month. It's a new kind of language that kind of comes out every 6 months or 1 year.
Yeah,
you need to update yourself.
Syllabus every 6 months revise हुँदैन हैन त तर industry every 6 months update भइरहेछ so you should have that learning outside your course book also हैन अब हाम्रो राम्रो पार्ट के छ भन्दाखेरि the professors the teachers who come here they are 100% नै होला practical नै काम गर्नुहुन्छ कि so उहाँहरु चाहिँ just they work in some organization they come also to share their knowledge here हैन
Excellent.
So त्यो भएको भएर डाइरेक्टली त्यो इन्डस्ट्री नलेज तिमीले पाइरहेको छौ त जति मोर इन्टरेक्सन गर्ने जति तिमीले आफुलाई प्रिपेयर गर्यो त्यति नै राम्रो हुन्छ होला हैन सो त्यो चीज चाहिँ एकदमै तिमीले बुझ्नु पर्यो
सर एनिमेसन र भिएफएक्स को लागि नेपालमा तपाईले टुल्स युज गर्नुहुन्छ नि जस्तै प्रिटी मच हाम्रो सुनेको ब्लेन्डर हुन्छ नि हैन त्यो त धेरै हिउँदोसम्म हुन्छ तपाईले चाहिँ यसको सब्स्टिट्युटमा कि कस्टमा युज गर्नुभयो कि एज अ ब्लेन्डर युज गर्नुभयो
Fantastic question. तर unfortunately one or two मात्रै सोध्दैछ कि Okay, prior to using Blender, हामीले चाहिँ Allies Wavefront भन्थ्यो, but it was taken over by Autodesk. Maya software हामीले चलाउँथ्यो. Our studio pipeline was all based on Maya. Maya भन्ने 3D tool, 3D software, animation को globally एकदमै standard pipeline हो है. By the way, this is an information to you guys. अब के भयो भने each license costs $4,000. So भन्दाखेरि एउटा कम्प्युटरमा इन्स्टल गर्दाखेरि $4,000 तपाईले खर्च गर्नुपर्ने भयो हैन. So it becomes expensive, and that's how Blender has come in because Blender is open source application which is free of cost. You can actually go and build your own, iterate within the application. So that is पहिला चाहिँ हामीले Autodesk. And if you want to work with clients offshore, say if you're working with DreamWorks, so like Kung Fu Panda banaउँदाखेरि, they will not. They will check all your applications, license or checkers.
You got your answer,
So animation, there's so much investment.
Okay, त्यो रिसेन्टली जुन ह्याकाथन हामीले गरेको थियो नि त्यसमा पार्टिसिपेट गरेको कोही स्टुडेन्ट्स छ हातमा ठाउँ त छ भने ओके सो व्हाट वाज द प्रोजेक्ट दैट यू तिमी नबोल है तिमीले अब बोल्छौ तिमी अहिले नबोलेको बिचकोले बोल त व्हाट वाज द प्रोजेक्ट दैट यू वर इन्भल्भड इन बिचको व्हाट इज योर नेम ल सिमरन भन त तिमी के प्रोजेक्टमा काम गरेको थियौ सो दे डिड सम प्रोजेक्ट्स हियर एन्ड अन्डर द लिडरशिप अफ ज्यास्मिन म्यामले गाइड गर्नु भएको थियो के काम गरेको थियो भन त
लाइक हामीलाई चाहिँ एउटा प्रोजेक्ट नै दिएको थियो त्यसमा एउटा वेबसाइट चाहिँ डेभलप गर्नुपर्ने थियो अनि त्यही बेसिसमा हामीले लाइक कुनै एउटा भिलाको बनाउनु पर्ने हजुर अनि
त्यो वेबसाइट बनाउँदाखेरि तिमीले के युज गर्यो के टेक्नोलोजी युज गर्यो
त्यो फुल्ली फ्रन्ट एन्ड बेस्ड नै थियो सो हामीले HTML CSS युज गरेरै बनाएको थियौँ
अब के छ त त्यसमा पनि फेरि फर्दर के भएको छैन फर्दर
एउटा अझै क्वेसन छ है सर लाइक यो एनिमेसन एकदमै ग्रोइङ फिल्ड छ हैन अनि यो विशेष IT स्टुडेन्टहरूले अघि प्रोग्रामिङको कुरा भन्नुभयो नि अब प्रोग्रामिङमै बियोन्ड प्रोग्रामिङ हामीले एनिमेसनमा जानको लागि कुन स्किल्सहरू हामीसँग हुनुपर्छ के लाइक त्यसको बारेमा पनि अलि भनिदिनु
Well, before you get into computer, you need to get into the principles of animation, which is traditionally it was taught in the form of sketching, and it's still a relevant mode of learning, means of learning. And तपाईले sketching कति गर्नुहुन्छ पटक्कै गर्नुहुन्न आजदेखि गर्नु पर्यो
यदि एनिमेसनमा जाने हो भने
Yes, the foundation is sketching, and tell you when you draw a sequence of drawing and you run it in your mobile and it starts to move that is if you तपाईले बुझ्नु पर्यो कि if that gives you happiness you meant for animation खाली स्कोप छ भनेर मात्रै जाने हैन स्कोप त धेरै चीजमा सबैमा छ स्कोप वेब पोर्टलमा छ हैन building apps like AI को कुनै tools build गर्ने you have scope there but if you need to start sketching today computer is to aid you to get it 3D मा गर्नलाई त कम्प्युटरमा जानु पर्छ 3D गर्नलाई पनि तपाईले you need to understand the dimensions हरु हैन what does a cone look like what does a के भन्छ cylinder look like तपाईले physically नै if I have felt this cup अहिले मैले यो कप छ नि 3D मा तपाईले 3D स्टुडियो म्याक्स युज गरेर तपाईले यो मल गर्ने हो भने इमेजिनेसनमा गर्ने हो नि कि हेरेर गर्नुहुन्छ यु बच्चैदेखि तपाईले यु had your water or tea in the cup right so you know what it feels like and use of lighting को बारेमा थाहा हुनु पर्यो त्यो स्केचिङ गर्दाखेरि तपाईले not just the forms हरु शेप मात्रै हैन कि लाइट पर्दाखेरि how much light when it falls on that particular object how that light behaves all those things you need to those are the foundation त्यसपछि softwares applications सिकाउने त there's tons of ways to learn it YouTube देखि institutions हरु पनि छ सिकाउने and all that
big student हो फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर यहाँ चाहिँ अब IT र आर्टकै कुरा गरियो हैन अब IT र आर्टकोमा चाहिँ तपाईको आर्टमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ भने स्टोरी बुक छ कि आर्ट बुक छ भन्ने हुन्छ हैन स्टोरी भनेको पिपल लाइक इट हैन अब आर्ट भनेको मार्केटिङ पनि हुन्छ सम टाइम मार्केटिङ हुन्छ अनि स्टोरी क्रिटिसाइज हुन्छ हैन यो भनेको पब्लिक डिमान्डको कुरा आउँछ नि त त्यसपछि अब IT को कुरा गर्छौं भने मार्केट निड अर इनोभेसन भन्ने हुन्छ जस्तो मार्केटमा केही ग्याप छ भने त्यो एउटा मार्केट निड हुन्छ इनोभेसन भनेको मार्केटमा कुनै छँदै छैन तर कुनै कुरा इन्भेन्ट गरिन्छ भने तर इनोभेसन पनि भनिन्छ कहिलेकाहीँ के हुन्छ भन्दा इनोभेसन चाहिँ एकदम फरवर्ड हुन्छ जस्तो गुगलले 2007 तिर एउटा लेन्स बनाएको थियो त्यो चलेन अहिले भर्खर अब मेटाले रेबनको एउटा बनाएको छ त्यो एउटा ग्याप थियो हैन त्यो इनोभेसन एकदम फरवर्ड थियो त्यो पनि एउटा पब्लिक डिमान्डको भयो यसमा फाइनान्शियल रेभेन्यूहरुको कुरा आउँछ हैन अनि अहिले चलेको भनेको एआई र ह्युमन रिसोर्स छ हैन जस्तो एआई भर्सेस ह्युमन रिसोर्समा के छ भन्दा कम्पनीहरुले अहिले धेरै ले अफ गरिरहेको छ नि त एआई आएर जस्तो एआई को लागि ह्युमन रिसोर्स चाहिन्छ अनि हाम्रो यो अहिले यो जस्तो आइटी कम्पनीमा के भइरहेछ तपाईँहरूले कसरी लिनुभएको छ रिसर्च एन्ड डेभलपमेन्ट कसरी लिनुभएको छ पब्लिकको डिमान्ड के छ रेभिन्यूहरू कसरी जेनेरेट भइरहेछ अहिले घटाएको छ कि बढाएको छ एकचोटि डिस्क्राइब गरिदिनु
फ्यान्टास्टिक क्वेसन है मैले जुन BPO को कुरा गरेँ नि मैले जुन मेरो फर्स्ट कम्पनीको कुरा गरेँ नि फ्रम 300 we've downsized to 45 people के भयो भने द डक्टर्स हाम्रो चाहिँ एउटा एप्लिकेसन हुन्थ्यो त्यति बेला हामीले year 2003 मा we built an app that was uploaded in we started off with one doctor पछि गएर हाम्रो we had 500 to 600 doctors and उनीहरुको के हुन्थ्यो भने this process how it works is त्यो particular app हामी उसको ल्यापटपमा हाल्दिन्थ्यौं right and उसले डिक्टेट गरेपछि once he dictates the audio file would go into that particular folder in that app so when that audio file goes into that app it was equivalent to coming into our server in Kantipath where office was located and when it arrived in our server it would be distributed using our internal application to hundreds of medical transcriptionists who were stationed and waiting for work हैन so त्यो हुन्थ्यो so त्यसपछि के भयो in 2000 we were I think the सबैभन्दा early victim of AI के in Nepal then came an application called Dragon Speech भन्ने आयो के have you heard of that Dragon Speech that types from the audio files that automatically types using what that did was it kind of we didn't need the low level typist we didn't need and in 2014 or 15 I think right before the earthquake I had laid off in one day I laid off 90 people it was one of the most I had to it was one of the painful moments but fortunately most of them I tracked them and they've switched on to other careers which gives me some kind of solace and as the profession when AI takes over there is bound to be a lot of layoffs like for example even in the VFX animation a lot of things are starting to recreate although the big studios have not adopted that particular AI technology fully small producers with limited budget उनीहरुले त गर्छ so you do see a challenge in that but obviously अब पहिला त एउटा यस्तो थियो नि 1970s when calculator came out there were mathematicians who flooded the street protesting हैन then what eventually happened more jobs were created for accountants we still have accounting as one of the academics and as one of the professions
right
and even when the computer came typists they said like we're going to be out of job man and so I think the dust is yet to settle down
so you need to upgrade your skills
of course you need to be abreast with new technologies that are in and I think once the dust settles and as the dust starts to settle I don't know when this is going to settle AI especially with respect to AI because every day you see new apps new technology that can do like new things but then there's a lot of issues about even copyright issues that hasn't come into the scene because if you see AI apps through which you create or write like for ChatGPT देखि लिएर comfy UI देखि लिएर the apps that create digital creative output के भन्छ visuals भनौं न or in literature they've all been mined from somewhere and then and it gives you the output so but I don't know copyright को कति सम्म त्यस infringe हुने त्यो laws हरु बन्छ पछि so dust is yet to settle down and we'll see how things move but it's going to lay off on one side it's going to lay off people but it also necessitates upgrade गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ आफुलाई right people who didn't know computers in the 80s like for myself I know a computer now so
Right, so
did I answer
उसको
most of your
रेभेन्यूको एउटा क्वेसन थियो अब रेभेन्यू त मेरो विचारमा अब डिफ्रेन्ट स्ट्रिम्सबाट रेभेन्यूजहरू आउँछ होला होइन अब थाउजन्ड्स अफ कम्पनीज आर अलरेडी वर्किङ सो उसले चाहिँ ब्यालेन्स सिटहरू पनि रेभेन्यूको कुरा नै सोधिरहेको थियो हाउ आर द कम्पनीज मेकिङ रेभेन्यूज वेयर आर द रेभेन्यू स्ट्रिम लाइन्स भनेर जस्तो लाग्यो
revenue streamlines for? Can you repeat?
So how is the company making money?
मेरो क्वेसन चाहिँ अब आइटीकोमा चाहिँ मार्केट निड अफ इनोभेसन भन्ने हुन्छ मार्केटमा के ग्याप छ त्यसलाई चाहिँ फिल गर्ने इनोभेसनहरू हुँदै नभएको कुरालाई इनोभेट गर्ने अब हुँदै नभएको कुरा इनोभेट गर्दाखेरि कहिले त्यो कम्पनीले रेभेन्यूले जेनेरेट गर्दैन कहिले कम्पनी धेरै फरवर्ड पुगिसकेको हुन्छ होइन
ठिक छ अभिषेक
it's a risk that एकदम त्यो लाइटली गरेर देखिरहेछ नि सो
यो आर्टको कुरामा चाहिँ स्टोरी बिक्छ कि आर्ट बिक्छ भन्ने कुरा हो होइन जस्तो मुभीहरू पनि कति धेरै क्रिटिसाइज गरिन्छ नि त हेरिसकेपछि अनि मार्केटिङ हुन्छ त्यसमा होइन अब स्टोरी अब जस्तो अघि तपाईँले एउटा नेपाली मुभीको इक्जाम्पल दिनुभयो सिम्पल छ स्टोरी छ होइन अब त्यसमा त्यति धेरै फेन्सी आर्टहरू छैन त्यसमा पनि मैले भन्न खोजेको चाहिँ पब्लिक डिमान्ड अब मैले भन्न खोजेको बिजनेस करियर र इन्टरप्रेनरसिप भर्सेस क्युरियोसिटी र प्यासनमा चाहिँ कसरी यसलाई चाहिँ उ गर्न सकिन्छ भने
you know if you have a beautiful product so यसमा चाहिँ specifically if I am to answer your question storyline is the basic foundation bio for any film or for anything to do well त्यसपछि त्यो storyline you need to tell the story properly and art is they are the ingredients that you add the right kind of ingredients that you add to basically tell your story in the most beautiful manner त्यसैले चल्ने हो नि त and when you talk about companies innovating products before even without even knowing whether it will run or not you will mostly see that those companies that have disposable income ekdam extra fund research and development ko lagi massive revenue छुटाउन सक्नेहरुले मात्रै त्यस्तो गर्छ how many of the companies actually experiment on Google Lens they may have gone into billions of dollars right so it really depends on what kind of revenue stream you have and how much you can allocate for your research and development from the profits that you make I guess
absolutely I think you stayed in Mustang for two months to shoot a movie you were on and off
I was there for like couple of weeks
so what was that project like Mustang ma chahi tyo I've seen that video there's a war ko scene
yeah it was the last film that we got involved with it was directed and produced by my colleague from school and it was basically a film
is it a Chinese movie
no it was this is it's a film based on Tibet's war with China in the 1950s when China invaded Tibet so the terrain in Mustang pretty much suited that of Tibet right so we had त्यो गाउँ where we went to shoot त्यहाँको population चाहिँ 158 थियो the crew that we took was like 250
yeah if you don't have any questions I'll just wrap it up now it's 8:48 के छ भने भन
एनिमेसन भन्ने या भिएफएक्स भन्नु होइन त्यो अनुसार तपाईँ एज अ इमेजिनेसन है सरमाथामा भएको जस्तो पनि गर्न सकिँदै सकिँदैन त्यो भिएफएक्स गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ ग्रिन कलरकै पर्दा राख्नुपर्ने हुन्छ त्यो किन
ग्रिन मात्रै होइन ब्ल्याक पनि हुन्छ ब्लू पनि हुन्छ it really depends on the foreground को characters or sets or color के हुन्छ त्यो अनुसारले हामी स्क्रिन राख्छौं के because when we key off अब यो ग्रीन भयो तपाईको प्यान्ट पनि ग्रीन छ भने suddenly you will have no legs when you remove the green screen के हैन so you have to have a blue screen at your point so if you're wearing a green trouser you can't have a green screen at the background so हुन पनि सकिन्छ but there's a whole lot of process to keep your legs intact so त्यो सीन हेरेर हुन्छ अगाडिको क्यारेक्टर र props and sets को colors के छ all the decision will have to be taken based on that so filmmaking ma pre-production अर्को कुरा is very very important हामी चाहिँ नेपालमा अहिले हुन थालेछ but we normally I heard they land up with just a script. You need to have a storyboard, okay? That reduces your cost of production. Right? So, say for example, यो दुईटा चिज हुनुपर्ने थियो र but the director forgot to put the cup and shot the stable. यो त फेरि animated CGI मा बनाएर हाल्नु पर्यो नि, and the CGI company is going to charge a lot of money. So all those. So this यो नै छुट्टै एउटा presentation हुन सक्छ तपाईहरुलाई हैन, but some other day I guess.
So ठिक छ, हाम्रो पहिला सुरु कस्तो छ भने अब यो जुन क्वालिटी कन्भर्सेसन्सहरु हामी गइरहेको छौं. So we just gearing up. र अब Suyogya sir, being Suyogya sir हैन, so he is the first CEO of KFA. उहाँले त तिमीहरुसँग फेरि के कुरा सिक्नु पर्यो भने त नाइ भन्नै मिल्दैन हैन. I ensure that you will have coffee with him. Obviously उहाँको टाइम मिल्नु पर्यो अथवा
sure anytime
you can visit his office हैन. So त्यो कुरा छ, तर हंगर त तिमीहरुकोबाट आउनु पर्यो नि त हैन. हंगर त्यो आउनु पर्यो. So I think you have something in.
How can a student from the Nepal become a global contributor in the term of freelancing for international studioहरुको लागि, BFX animationहरुको लागि चाहिँ?
First learn it and master it.
Yes.
Learn it, master it. अब म कसरी master गर्ने त्यो, that's a little longer conversation, but you have to do that. Master. I'll add something into that. It needs a lot of, it's a very painstaking job, and at times you can get bored, especially VFX. You can probably start with the prep works, roto, paint out, green screen, all that, and then you can move on to comp, you can work on that. And 3D sikne ho bhane, these are two different streams bio. It depends what you want to opt for. Animation ma मैले भने हाले, I can't tell you the technology part right away, के गर्ने भनेर, but start with sketching. तपाईं पनि start sketching, you can start sketching. यस्तो आउनु पर्यो कि your lines have to be very, you need to flow. Mindly के सोच्यो त्यही जानु पर्यो के हात. You know what I mean? Right? And एक दिन, in a span of 1 hour, you should be able to sketch the whole magazine. त्यो fluency आउनु पर्यो. You have some amazing artists in Nepal, but because of lack of opportunity, they've kind of faded away into oblivion. So there's a good synergy between wannabe entrepreneurs who want to invest, take a risk in animation studio. Which is really great news. And also there's a VFX and Animation Association of Nepal form bhacha. And that organization is trying to help to bring in clients to help us pitch to international market. But this ready. We have to be ready. And platforms like all the big studios here need to kind of go level up and take in extra bench राख्नु पर्यो.
So your tutorials, your workshops, your additional hours, your learnings, त्यो भनेको तिमीहरु आफैले गर्ने हो. So
अहिले चाहिँ one of the things that we're trying to do, it partly relates to the question that you asked. त्यो success हुनु अगाडि नै, you don't know it's going to be successful, तर त्यो कुरालाई चाहिँ रिसर्च गरेर बनाउँदै हुनुहुन्छ भन्ने कुरामा चाहिँ we're doing अहिले मेरो studio is going to work on stop motion animation. Please go and do a research on stop motion film, the making of stop motion, like Kubo and Two Strings, Del Toro ko Pinocchio. Those are त्यो कस्तो भने physical dollsहरु बनाएर doll-लाई move them inch by inch based on your storyboard and your.
Yeah, so last question, anybody?
Sir, is there any project of yours which has not worked according to your plan? And if so, how have you overcome that situation?
We hit a roadblock with some of the projects, like some of the clients based in North America. Because we didn't meet the quality. In the early days, we build a prototype or a build गरेर पठाउँछौं, and they don't go with it, and but that said, also we've worked with studios like Pixar, DreamWorks or somebody काम गरेर successful भएपछि. So I think those roadblocks are important. That failure is very important, but you can't fail always. You need to learn from the failure you have,
Right. Yeah. So
particular project there, but if I specify, that needs a separate slide presentation. It'd be fun to tell you, okay? Kasari fail भयो, kasari it didn't work भनेर.
Yeah.
पिपलहरुसँग काम गर्न चाहिँ अलिक गाह्रो हुन्छ नि त. दे वान्ट देयर क्रिएटिभ फ्रिडम अनि कोसँग लाइक अनि दे वान्ट देयर क्रिएटिभ फ्रिडम के मैले यस्तो गर्छु भन्ने चाहिँ उनीहरूको आफ्नै इन्भिजन हुन्छ, अर्कै इन्भिजन हुन्छ. सो एउटा प्रोजेक्टमा चाहिँ सबभन्दा धेरै क्रिएटिभ फ्रिडम चाहिँ कोसँग हुन्छ जस्तो लाग्छ अनि कोअर्डिनेट चाहिँ कसरी
Everybody has that level of creative freedom to the possible. Nobody, you cannot limit creativity. So, but once you've discussed the groundwork, the creativity, before it's locked. Once it's locked, then it's locked. Then only the supervisor or the lead will have a say in that. Because the pre-production prep works are to you would have spent significant amount of time. You can literally grab each other's throat and disagree, right? But once you agree on certain things and everybody is on board, then I think the project needs to move smoothly. Unless a producer wants to change it. We've had like instances in the past, like Tinkerbell Gardakeri Disney Go was redone. Like project, they spent like $200 million, I think. And they did it again, Peri.
Wow.
But that's because they could afford to.
Right, so we'll just end with a softer note. So स्कुलको बारेमा हामीलाई थाहा भयो, त्यसपछि उहाँको स्पोर्ट्सको बारेमा, फुटबलको बारेमा थाहा भयो, उहाँको आर्टको बारेमा थाहा भयो. अर्को दुईटा एस्पेक्टको बारेमा चाहिँ म क्विकली कुरा गर्छु. तीनटा एस्पेक्ट हामीले कम्युनिकेसन स्किल्स उहाँको देख्यौँ हैन. हाउ कम्फर्टेबल इज इन कम्युनिकेसन इन बोथ ल्याङ्ग्वेजेस, त्यो कुरा हामीले देख्यौँ. त्यहाँबाट हामीले सिक्ने कुराहरू होला. उहाँको इनफ्याक्ट त्यो कुरामा हामी दुईजना के भनौँ, हामी सबैजनाको छ होला म्युजिक. म्युजिक इज समथिङ द्याट किप्स अन गोइङ. हामी कहीँ ड्राइभ गर्दा पनि जुन म्युजिक सुन्छौँ त्यसले हामीलाई अर्कै लेभलमा अर्कै ठाउँमा पुऱ्याउँछ. सो त्यसले पनि हामीलाई एउटा खालको रिजुभिनेट गरेर
listen to music. It helps you to be healthy.
Absolutely. Watching good films.
It helps we're all made up of billions of cells. Cells with mitochondria bhन्छ. And that's nothing but we're just a bunch of energy only. So music helps you to get good energy, and that helps you to really live a beautiful life.
Yeah. And to wrap it up, like humility अथवा to become a good person, हैन. भित्रको good person चाहिँ मैले मेरो लागि स्कुल चाहिँ सुयोग्य सर हो. I'll just give you one small story. It's a real story. हामी दिल्लीको हडसन लाइनमा बस्थ्यौँ हैन. झमझम पानी परिरहेको थियो. अनि त्यहाँनिर त्योभन्दा बाहिर चाहिँ एउटा झोपडपट्टी थियो. सो त्यसमा फेरि अर्को कहानी छ. मेरो त्यो बेलामा कपाल ठुल्ठुलै थियो. एउटा त्यो आफ्नो फोटो हेर्दा वाक्क लाएर त्यो हुन्छ नि फालेको फोटो चाहिँ त्यो झोपडपट्टिमा कसरी हालिरहेको थियो. त्यो छुट्टै स्टोरी मैले सम्झेँ होइन. तर त्यो झोपडपट्टिमा सँगै चाहिँ एउटा डगलाई चाहिँ बेबिजहरू भएको थियो. सानो सानो बेबिजहरू थियो होइन. सो झमझम पानी परिरहेको थियो. साथी छैन, हरायो, कहाँ गयो, लास्ट हाफ एन आवरमा इज नट देयर. So he actually, I don't know, he took an auto लिएर 3 किलोमिटर पर गएर तातो दुध लिएर आएर छाता ओढाएर उसले आफ्नो त्यो बच्चाहरूलाई दुध खुवाइरहेको थियो कि यो कुकुरको बच्चालाई दुध खुवाइरहेको. सो मैले त्योभन्दा अगाडि त्यस्तो चिज देखेको थिइनँ. अब त्यो देखाएको थियो होला. सो म त्यो उसलाई हेर्दाखेरि, म बाहिर आएर हेर्दाखेरि मेरो आँखाबाट आँसु आयो होइन. सो त्यो दिन मैले के सिकेँ भने जिन्दगीमा त्यो सानो एउटा चिजले जिन्दगीमा केही कुरा गर्नुपर्छ अरूको लागि पनि भन्ने कुरा सिकेँ. मेबी द फाउन्डेसन द्याट वी स्टार्टेड, त्यहाँबाट नै त्यो जिन चाहिँ त्यहाँबाट आयो होला होइन. सो देयर सो मच टु लर्न फ्रम हिम होइन. सो वी अल आर भेरी लकी टु हेभ यु होइन इन आवर.
Thank you very much. And I think he's taken this to the next level, Wako Foundation. And also he's helped me to be a vegetarian.
Okay, thank you so much. Wonderful session.